There is a shift happening in the atmosphere right now, and it didn't start because of a celebrity preacher. It didn't start because of a massive worship concert or a viral clip. It started because of you. It started because of what you did in the shadows, without a crowd, without a camera, and without a single human soul to give you a pat on the back. This message is here to tell you that your secret history has finally reached the throne. And when something hits the throne, heaven is legally obligated to respond. You looked after people who wouldn't have lifted a finger for you, and you never breathed a word of it to anyone. You stood in the gap and prayed for people who don't even know your middle name. You chose the high road of integrity when the shortcut was wide open and nobody was looking. And you kept that choice to yourself. You bit your tongue when you had every right to tear someone down, and that silence cost you more than anyone will ever know. This isn't about performative holier-than-thou religion. It's not that fake humility where people do good just so they can post about it later. This is something else. This is that raw space between obedience without an audience and the sheer exhaustion of doing the right thing for months without seeing a single dime of return. By the time we're done today, I'm going to hand you 3 specific things. First, the ancient Hebrew name for what you've been doing. The reason your quiet acts carry more weight in the spirit than a standard prayer. Second, a 3-step protocol to receive what has already been decreed in your name. Third, a declaration that is going to turn your past from a locked room into an open door. Stick with me until the very end. This decree needs to be sealed in your spirit before you walk away from this screen. Close your eyes for just a second, or just look away from the screen and breathe. What I'm about to show you requires your undivided attention, because you're going to see yourself in at least 3 of the 5 signs I'm about to describe. And the moment you recognize yourself, you'll understand why the gears of heaven are turning. The first sign. In the last few months, you gave up something you had a legal and moral right to keep. This wasn't some forced charity or a manipulation tactic disguised as kindness. It was a conscious, painful choice to let go of what you could have held on to. The people around you probably called you naive. They told you that you missed your window. They said you were being soft, but the real name for that is avodah, a liturgy of detachment that rises like incense. Consciously letting go isn't a loss, it's an offering on the altar. The second sign. You forgave someone before they even thought to ask for an apology, and you didn't tell a soul. The sting was still fresh. The wound still hurt when you touched it, but you released the debt before the other person even realized they owed you one. People might call that being a doormat. They might say you're letting people walk all over you. But forgiveness that isn't witnessed by men carries the most weight on the altar. God weighs what the world ignores. The third sign. You served in a capacity where you could have demanded recognition, but you chose the background instead. You had the talent. You had the seniority. You had the resume to be front and center. But you chose the role without the spotlight. People called that underselling yourself. They said you didn't know how to brand yourself or that you were letting others pass you by. But service without a human audience is service that the Father receives directly without the ego getting in the way. The fourth sign. You interceded for someone who caused you deep personal pain, and that person has no clue that your prayers are the only thing keeping their life together right now. You had every reason to block them, every reason to never speak their name again. But you prayed. You asked for their protection. You spoke a blessing over the person who tried to curse you. Some would call that weakness. They'd say you don't have a backbone, but praying for your enemies is the one act that moves the throne faster than anything else. It's what Hannah did. It's what Joseph did in that Egyptian prison. The fifth sign. You kept showing up. You kept serving, kept praying, kept believing during a season where everyone would have understood if you quit. Nobody would have judged you. If you had said, "I need a year off," everyone would have nodded their heads. But you didn't stop. You stayed faithful when faithfulness looked like insanity. People called it being stubborn. They said you couldn't read the room or that you were staying in a place where God had already moved on. But persistence without a crowd is a contractual faithfulness, and contracts with God always have a return clause. Every bit of that rose up. Every one of those hidden acts hit the throne with your name on it, and the Father looked at that inventory and gave the order. Nothing else is to be withheld. I want you to type this in the comments right now. It reached the throne. You need to declare what heaven has already confirmed. Now close your eyes again. Take a deep breath. This won't land if your mind is split between 3 different tabs. There is a word in the original Hebrew that will completely change how you view your last 6 months. The common version of this word is service, but not service as we think of it today. Not as a religious chore, not as church work, or an obligation you fulfill because you're on a schedule or because your pastor asked you to. When you serve that way, you're looking for a human paycheck. You want a thank you. You want a shout out from the stage. And when that recognition doesn't come, the service feels empty. The offering loses its value because it was addressed to the wrong person. But the real word, the word that lived in Solomon's temple, the word that covered everything from the high priest in the Holy of Holies to the guy sweeping the floor, is avoda. In Hebrew, avoda is the exact same word for work and worship. There aren't 2 separate words, there's only one. Because in the Hebrew mind, there is no wall between the holy and the functional when both are done for the same audience. What you've been doing in the dark, the forgiveness no one saw, the service without the mic, the prayer for the person who betrayed you, that wasn't a burden. It was liturgy, and liturgy never returns void. Think about this. How many times have you felt like you were carrying an invisible weight? That exhaustion that doesn't go away with a nap because it's in your soul. You'd look in the mirror and ask if it was even worth it. You wondered if God really saw it, if he was taking notes, or if he even cared about the gestures that didn't get any likes or turn into a testimony of the week. But here is the truth that changes the game. What is invisible to the human eye is neon bright to the throne. The altar doesn't need security cameras for validation. The altar has the Father's absolute focus. And when something rises as avoda, it isn't filed under chores completed. It's filed as an offering that demands a response. Isaiah 55:11 says, "So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void." What rises as avoda carries that same guarantee. It didn't go up for nothing, and because it didn't return void, it's just waiting for the moment of the opening. Let me illustrate this with 2 stories. One from the Word, one from real life. Hannah walked into the temple in 1 Samuel with a pain that she couldn't even put into words. Her lips were moving, but no sound was coming out. Eli the priest looked at her and thought she was drunk. Think about that. The official representative of God on earth couldn't even recognize avoda when it was right in front of him. He accused a holy offering of being a drunken stumble. Imagine the weight of that. The man who was supposed to represent God's heart completely misread hers. He interpreted deep worship as a lack of self-control. The religious authority validated the exact opposite of what was actually happening. And you know what? It didn't stop God from answering for 1 second. Because Hannah's avoda didn't depend on Eli's approval. It didn't need a witness. It didn't need a spiritual certificate from a leader. It bypassed the middleman and went straight to the throne. No filters, no protocols, no red tape. God read her heart, and he responded to that silent offering with exactly what she asked for, and then some. Samuel wasn't just a son. He was the prophet for an entire nation. The response to what was done in secret created a public impact that lasted for generations. Now look at it this way. A letter that's been sent but hasn't been opened yet isn't an ignored letter. The address is right. The sender is right. The content is safe inside the envelope. The moment of opening is the recipient's choice. And when he finally breaks the seal, the letter is just as fresh as the day it was mailed. The time it spent in the mailbox didn't change the message. It just confirmed that it reached its destination. What you did in secret is sitting on the altar, untouched and untarnished, and the Father just broke the seal on the envelope. I'm going to stop for a full minute. Objective facts. You served without an audience. You forgave without a witness. You interceded for your enemies. You kept going when you had every excuse to quit. That isn't just a motivational story for tired Christians. That is a legal inventory of avoda with real weight on the throne. And here is who you are in the middle of all this. I need you to understand what you are, not just what you do, not how you felt while you were doing it. I'm talking about your identity and the structure of what God is building. First identity, the offerer. Everything you did without a human witness was received as a living sacrifice. You don't owe the spiritual system anything. You aren't in a deficit with the house of God. In the spirit, you are a creditor with a massive amount of accumulated avoda. This changes your posture for the next season. You don't walk into this next month as a debtor asking for more time. You don't walk in as a beggar hoping for a scrap of attention. You walk in as an offerer who has delivered something of immense value, and heaven recognizes value when it rises from the altar. This identity gives you the legal right to receive without having to explain it to the public. When the blessing hits, you won't have to justify it. You won't need a PowerPoint presentation to explain why you deserve it. You won't have to explain why you and not someone else. An offerer receives because they offered. Period. Second identity, the heir in waiting. You aren't waiting to earn anything. The decree has already been signed. You are simply in a posture of receiving, not a posture of seeking approval. The difference is life-changing. An heir doesn't beg for their inheritance. They receive it at the time appointed by the will. Look at the practical difference. A beggar comes through the back door. They talk in a low voice. They overthank everyone because they feel like they shouldn't be there. An heir walks through the front door. They sign the papers. They take what had their name on it before they were even born. The delay doesn't mean you were forgotten. It means there's a release schedule. And a schedule isn't a punishment. It's an optimization for maximum impact. This identity allows you to wait with dignity. You don't have to be ashamed that it hasn't happened yet, because for an heir, not yet isn't rejection. It's logistics. Third identity, the gate. What is about to enter your life isn't just for you. You are the gate through which this blessing will flow to others. What you open with your story, others will walk through. What you unlock with your testimony, others will find freedom in. This identity allows you to receive in massive quantities without an ounce of guilt, because a gate receives in order to pass it on, not to hoard it. I want you to comment which identity you're stepping into today. Offerer, heir, or gate. And listen, subscribe to this channel. Not as a favor to me, but so the next word finds you without the algorithm getting in the way. You can't depend on luck to hear what God is saying. Now I'm going to give you a 3-step protocol. It's free. You can do it tonight. You don't need anything but your own voice and 60 seconds of intentional silence. We call this the protocol of the return. Step 1, naming. Out loud, right now, I want you to name one thing you did in secret over the last few months. Just one. The one that felt the heaviest. The one no one saw. The one you kept as a secret between you and God. Name it. Make it public to heaven. It doesn't have to be a long speech. It doesn't have to be churchy. Just be honest. Step 2, the declaration of avoda. After you name it, you're going to say this phrase 3 times out loud. This was not in vain. This was avoda. And avoda never returns void. 3 times. Not twice, not 4 times. 3. Because 3 is the number of a complete testimony. Step 3. The posture of the heir. Before you go to sleep tonight, don't just collapse into bed. Sit on the edge of your bed for a moment. Open your hands with your palms facing up and stay in total silence for 60 seconds. Don't pray. Don't beg. Don't declare. Just be available in the posture of someone who is expecting a delivery, not someone who is waiting for a sentence. The sign that this worked won't be a religious high. It won't be goosebumps. It will be a sense of relief that doesn't need proof. A settling in your spirit. A lightness in your chest that you can't explain by looking at your bank account or your circumstances. That's the sign. When you feel like something heavy left and something light moved in, it's done. Now I need to warn you. In the next 72 hours, 3 specific things are going to be thrown at you. This isn't a maybe, it's a certainty. And if you aren't ready for them, you're going to think they're your own thoughts. You'll think you're just being realistic, but you aren't. These are programmed blockades designed to stop you from receiving what's already been released. The first tactic, the was it enough? Doubt. This will come disguised as spiritual maturity. A voice will whisper, was what you did really enough to deserve this? Was it big enough? Was it pure enough? You'll start looking back at your past through the eyes of a debtor, as if avoda depended on quantity rather than heart. You'll remember every time you messed up, every time you had a bad thought or made a wrong turn. The enemy will show you a catalog of your inconsistencies and ask, do you really think you're worth it? The weapon against this is simple. Avodah isn't measured by volume. It's measured by the audience. If it was done for God, 1 act is worth 1,000. The weight of an offering isn't calculated by the amount given, but by the cost it had for the person giving it. The second tactic, the delay as denial trap. This will show up as a lack of an immediate sign in the first 48 hours. You'll do the protocol tonight, you'll wake up tomorrow, and nothing visible will have changed. The bills are still there. The relationship is still strained. The door is still shut, and the voice will say, see, it didn't work. You made it all up. The weapon. A signed decree isn't always an instant decree. Confusing the waiting window with a rejection is the #1 mistake people make right before their breakthrough. The third tactic, visible comparison. Someone around you is going to get a public win this week, a promotion, a healing, a check in the mail. And the voice will say, the decree skipped over you and went to them. God forgot your name, the weapon. Someone else's blessing doesn't cancel your decree. Heaven doesn't work on a single file line. Your name has its own route, its own schedule, and its own delivery driver. And when those 3 fail, the 4th voice will say, you're just romanticizing your burnout. You're calling avodah what was really just you being a sucker. That voice will use your own vocabulary. It will sound exactly like you when you're being honest with yourself. This is the most dangerous one, because it doesn't come from the outside. It sounds like it's coming from your own heart. But it's a lie dressed in your own voice. Now comes the part that seals everything. Place your hand over your heart, not as a religious gesture, but as a physical connection to what's being declared. You're going to drop 5 weights. And after each one, say out loud, I let go. First weight, I let go of the shame of what I did without being recognized. I let go. Second weight, I let go of the expectation that people owe me anything for my avodah. I let go. Third weight, I let go of the ledger of debts that others have with me. I let go. Fourth weight, I let go of the idea that delay equals rejection. I let go. Fifth weight, I let go of the fear that what I did didn't reach the throne. I let go. Now comes the summons. Offerer, heir, gate. These 3 identities aren't something you're trying to be. They are what you are. They became your reality the moment that first act of avodah rose with your name on it. And now, listen to the Father's voice. This isn't generic. He is referencing exactly what you did. I saw you look after the people who didn't look after you. I saw you forgive before they even realized they hurt you. I saw you serve when there was no camera, no applause, and no paycheck. I saw you choose what was right when what was easy was sitting right there on the table. I saw you keep going when everyone would have understood if you quit. And I told the angels, this one isn't a debtor. This one is a creditor. And what I have stored up for this child can no longer be withheld. I have covered their mind with the blood so that no strange voice can hide in their thoughts. I have sealed their relationships with fire so that what isn't theirs will leave and what is theirs will stay. I have sent the Spirit to make their time different from world time, so that days will count for months and months will count for years. And I have ordered that everything done in silence shall be rewarded in the light, not for their ego, but as a testimony that avoda never, ever returns void. Now, the triple sealing. Do not skip a single repetition. Committed, commissioned, sent. Committed, commissioned, sent. Don't say amen yet. Committed, commissioned, sent. Now you can say amen. Type this in the comments. My silence was avoda. Declare it publicly before you leave this page. There is one person who came to your mind while you were listening to this. Not a group, not a whole ministry. Just one person. Someone who has also been serving in the dark and is desperate to hear that their offering reached the throne. Send this to them right now. Not tomorrow. Now. Because the decree that was sealed in you needs to pass through the gate that you are to reach them. In the next message, I'm going to show you what happens when the gate actually opens and why some people still can't receive even after the decree is signed. Don't miss it. What's coming next is the necessary follow-up to what was delivered here. It is done. You are not the same person you were when this message started. Approximate word count, 3,850 words.